Poston, and welcome to the Metaverse's panel on Epic YA. I will be your host, and I cannot wait to ask these amazing authors questions and just fangirl with them. It's going to be so much fun. Y'all are in for a treat. A little housekeeping before we start. If you want to purchase any of our books or any merch, there will be a link down in the chat or description. So please buy stuff, have fun. We're all in a pandemic, so let's just love on books for a while. And it's very nice that y'all are here. Thank you so much. And I think that's all my housekeeping. So let's bring everyone else in. Everyone, please say your name, who you are, what you do.
Well, since I'm positioned right next to Ash, I guess I'll go. My name is Julie Murphy. I'm a young adult author, and like everyone else here, or almost everyone else here, I think. And my most recent book is Faith Taking Flight. I'm probably most well known for Dumplin', which is also a Netflix film.
Cool, and I'm next to Julie, so I guess I'll go. My name's Silvera. I'm a young adult author as well. I guess that's going to feel really repetitive throughout this panel, but I'm known for a lot of contemporary novels, such as They Both Die at the End, and much like Julie, I just released my first fantasy. Mine is called Infinity Sun. It has phoenixes, it has gayness, it's fun. And yeah, that's me.
Okay, so I guess I'm next. I'm Rosanne Brown. I'm debut author of A Song of Wraiths and Ruin, which just came out this past June. It has been a wild time to debut a book, y'all. And fantasy Africa, lots of stabbing, lots of betrayal. It's lots of fun. Enjoy it a lot.
Okay, I guess I'm next. Hi, I'm Shveta Thakrar. I'm also, which I know will surprise all of you at this point, a YA author. I have a bunch of short stories out in magazines and anthologies, and my debut fantasy novel, Star Daughter, just came out on Tuesday. And look how pretty it is. It's so pretty. And it's about a girl who is half star and half human. And after she accidentally burns her human father with her flame, she has to go on a quest to the heavens to find her starry mother and obtain a drop of healing star's blood. But as she learns, in order to do that, she had a competition that she never signed up for.
Okay, I think that's me now. Hi, I am Noelle Stevenson. I'm a cartoonist, a writer, and I work in animation as well. I wrote Nimona. I helped write Lumberjanes. My newest book is called The Fire Never Goes Out, and it's a graphic memoir. And then I also I also did She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, and that just wrapped its final season on Netflix. So yeah, it's been a busy few years.
Thank you all for coming, and I guess I should introduce myself too. My name is Ashley Poston. I'm the author of the Once Upon a Con series, including Book to the Beast, which just came out. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but contemporary. So what more could you want? It's geeky and nerdy, and if you're missing cons, definitely check it out, because I know I am. So let's get to the first question. Thank you all for being here on this wonderful Sunday. So how are y'all doing during the pandemic? Do you have any favorite mask sellers? You know?
Actually, I do. There's
Really?
On Gossamer Wings, she makes beautiful fairy accessories and wings, and I just bought a mask from her a few weeks ago that has a holographic pair of fairy wings on it. It's so pretty.
Ooh.
That's
I'm definitely
dope.
looking for some new masks. So
I just got one in downtown LA that makes me look like Bane from Batman. So I look like tough and I'm feeling safe.
that's fantastic. I just got one that's a lemons, and so I feel very like fanfic worthy because I grew up in like the time of lemons and all that. So I was like, yeah, you know, it's fine. We're fine.
I feel like people are really stepping these mask games up. Like, I know people who have a mask for every outfit, and I'm like, how do we even have different outfits? Like, I have my morning pajamas and my night pajamas. Like, I just don't know how they're doing this.
I'm the same way. I have like daytime nightgown is what I call it. Like, this is a daytime nightgown, by the way. No waistline is the rule for daytime nightgown. I've been okay, as okay as anyone else is. I I don't know what I was thinking, but last year I signed on to write 3 books this year. So I've been like, that's a great question. I don't know. So it's been like on one day I'll be like eagerly distracted, and on the other day I'm like, well, I'm never going to get my work done, and doesn't matter because the world is ending, and what is work anyways? But my favorite current mask seller is Ashley Tipton. She's actually a former Project Runway contestant. She was like the first plus size contestant to win, and win with like a plus size line. But she has some really cool masks, and there's another plus size designer, I can't remember her name right now, but she has these masks that have like tons of just fringe hanging down, like a fringe beard. I need to order one of those.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's A+. So has a
same mask every day. Just like, I know they say not to reuse them, but I'm like, who has the time? Although I really want one of those French masks. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Sounds like channeling like your best Dolly Parton, really.
Yes,
just so much French. So also in the pandemic, I know we've all been kind of like trying to find new ways to stay creative and be creative. So what fandoms or pieces of media have y'all found or rediscovered while during the pandemic? Have y'all like flocked to like older pieces of media that you've seen before? Like I'm personally in the middle of a rewatch of Inuyasha, so I've seen the entire thing before, but it's just like it's like a comfort food almost, especially during the pandemic. And I know for a lot of us, the media that we consume also influences like what we write and like how we write certain books or certain scenes. So yeah, so what do you like right now?
I found comfort in lots of different things, like lots of like old staple movies for me that I feel like I'm constantly trying to emulate but never will, like things like The Heathers and Clueless and stuff like that. But what I've really become obsessed with during the pandemic, growing up I never played any video games. The only video game I ever played was Yoshi's Story, which I still to this day love. But I like 2 months ago discovered Animal Crossing, and I've just deeply spiraled. My husband and I started out sharing an island, and now like we've decided to get different visions. And so I had to get my own Switch and get my own island, which I dubbed Dollywood because obviously. So Animal Crossing has really saved my life. I went in deep on some turnips this week, so.
Oh, the last time I went in deep on turnips, I got burned so badly. I haven't recovered since. I'm still real broke right now.
I have adapted to this, but like Twitter has become almost like incomprehensible to me with like the rise of Animal Crossing. Like you're talking about turnips, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I know what that means, but not 100%. I'm sorry that the turnips burned you. That sounds bad.
Listen, it's just the stalk market. It's fine.
It got less comprehensible. I'm more lost now.
See, I'm afraid to get back into video games because when I was in high school and college and played them, they ate my life. And I'm really afraid that will happen again, especially because it sounds like they've gotten so much better. And I will always have a crush on Link from The Legend of Zelda. And I know there are all these extra Zelda games that are just waiting for me. And I'm like, but then you'll never.
Oh man, Breath of the Wild.
I want to try it. I'm just afraid that.
Gosh, for me, the video game that's like taken over my life recently is Fire Emblem Three Houses, which I really got last year, but like I only got it like early this winter, and I've just been so obsessed with it. To the point where I actually had to like just give it to my sister. I was like, do not let me keep playing this because I will keep playing this and not do any work. But outside of video games, I've been really comforted by ensemble like sitcoms lately. Like, because even the most mundane sitcoms where I used to be like, oh, look, the Parks and Rec gang are fixing a swing. I'm like, people outside working on a project together. Wow. It's almost like a fantasy because it's just not happening. You're just like, people in the same room together.
Don't make me cry.
So yeah, Parks and Rec and Community. I'm actually watching both for the first time. So I just finished Parks and Rec. I just started Community. And it's just like seeing people interacting is just wonderful.
Okay, so who would you ride or die with Fire Emblem though? Like which house would you ride or die with?
It's got to be the Blue Lions. I know that's the basic answer, but I'm just like,
Dimitri though.
I love Dimitri. I love it. I feel like my answer should be Claude, but it's Dimitri.
Yeah, 100% Dimitri. Just like the like rogue Rudy Wolf. It's fine.
I feel like Noelle right now, where I'm like, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Like,
It's all
this
just like
is,
whooshing past me. Like,
yeah.
Blue Lions. Yeah. Like,
Like I
the
love the
purple
enthusiasm, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Legends of the Hidden Temple, but not.
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, go, please.
I was just saying, it's like basically Harry Potter meets Battle Royale. That's all you need to know. Right.
Interesting. Okay, but that helps. That grounds me a bit. So I'm not allowed to try new video games right now. Like I did maybe 2 hours of Animal Crossing back when it came out, and was like, I'm on deadline. I cannot do this game right now. Like I overcommit to games. So the only thing I've been playing right now is like Apex Legends, which I play online with a friend, so we can have like social time, but there's no story mode, so I can just jump in, jump out. And lately I've been rewatching a lot of the like old school Marvel movies. Like I'm on Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire right now. And
Oh man, best one.
oh my god, watch it again in 2020 and let me know what you think. Does not hold up. But,
Best one. It's fine.
yeah, I mean, Spider-Man 3 obviously is going to be a disaster, but that's what I'm working towards that, because it's like my go to bed movie. So I don't have to like pay attention to that. But my first 4 months of quarantine were spent just rewatching Veep on a loop. It's so, I mean, it's my favorite show, I think. But I guess I'm part of like the Veep fandom, if that's a thing.
I think there's totally a Veep fandom, but also I love Veep, but it feels like a very dark thing to be watching right now, because it's
Well,
the worst of the worst. I mean, the best of the worst, but the worst.
I mean, have you met him though?
right. Julia's
right
housed me. So
It's true.
I feel like right now it's either like it has to be comfort food or like the worst thing you've ever seen. I don't know why. It has to be just like, let me watch something that could conceivably like be like way worse than like what we're in right now, or just let me watch like Bob's Burgers for 10 hours. Like those are the two options. I've also been trying to get into video games despite never really being a gamer. So we started to play like Life is Strange. And then I got really, really frustrated because my like stupid friend got her foot stuck in a train track, and I had to watch her get hit by a train like 18 times. And I'm like, why were you on the train tracks in the first place? I'm trying to save you. You know, so I had to hand the controller to my wife and let her take over. I just got too fussed out.
Oh man, I remember playing Life is Strange. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, can I embarrass Rosie for a second? Because I've actually, I mean, I love reading so much, but I had a really hard time of it these past few months. And I know I'm not alone, but I loved your book, Rosie.
Oh, thank you. No, my book is it's definitely falls on the more of the darker side. It's not comfort food for right now, no.
But still beautiful.
Thank you.
All right, well, I guess on to my next question then. Oh, I could like talk forever about fandom and everything, but like let's get to the writing process, and that's why we're all here. Because we all write in some form. How has your writing process changed since the pandemic? Like, or like, what do you do differently? And like, I'm having a really hard time writing right now. So how do you have any tips? Because I'm just staring at a blank page and it feels like I'm hitting a brick wall every time I try.
If no one minds, I could go first, because I just turned in my second first draft of my second book, and that was really, really hard. Because
congrats though.
Yeah, thank you. And you know what helped me, honestly? I had to throw away the first draft. That's why it's the second first draft, because the first draft was just full of holes. I told you this, Rosie. It was full of holes. It was so bad. I was so embarrassed that I turned that in. And in order to keep the book from getting bumped again, because it's already bumped to fall of next year now, I had a friend who was like, you know what? You can send me a chapter as you write it, and I will just cheer you on. And that was magic. I couldn't believe it. She, no matter how bad the chapter was, she would find something nice to say about it. And that made me then want to write the next one.
Oh man, I wish I could do that. That sounds like such a fun experience. It feels like almost like a fanfic experience, like uploading a chapter every time and getting reviewers like saying, "Oh my god, I love this! Can't wait for the
next one." That's exactly it. Yeah.
It's like a shot of like endorphins. It feels like. That's not a bad idea. Anyone else?
I've found that like just really brief productivity sprints. I used to try to do like a 30-minute writing sprint, and who was that girl in 2019? Yeah. But right now,
The
just
old days.
even like 10 minutes at a time, because 10 minutes worth of work is more than 10 minutes of like what I had 10 minutes ago. Even if it's just like I read and found out I had to delete a paragraph. I read and, fixed my commas, like just like every little bit of thing, every little bitty thing I try to like not celebrate, but just like feel like, oh, that was an accomplishment. And also, I am addicted to-do lists. So I'm definitely the person who will make a to-do list of all the things I've already done and be like, oh, did it. Check, check, check. I'm doing great. So obviously, if you can't tell, I really like being validated and rewarded.
I'm the same way with to-do lists. Like my friend, we haven't really seen a lot of people outside of quarantine except each other. And we've created this thing called dailies where we create our daily to-do lists, and it gives us so much joy. And for focus, I've been using the Forest app for the past like week and a half now. And for those who don't know, it's a free app where you set like a time limit. So it could be like 15 minutes or whatever. And you just like grow a tree. And if you go on any other app, your tree will die and you will have like a dead tree in your forest, and it will be depressing. This dead tree amidst like all your other like beautifully grown trees from when you manage your productivity. And I'm competitive, so I like want all my trees to like be beautiful. So that's my Animal Crossing right now. Like that's my island that I care about and that I'm like investing all my energy into, and I get work done. All right, just yeah, don't kill your tree. Focus.
I'm so scatterbrained. Like I'm like a dog who sees a squirrel. Like squirrel. I just go after it. Like I would have just a forest of dead trees.
You would. Graveyard.
Thanks, Adam.
For me, I've had to just kind of like let go of all ideas of what productivity looks like, because I used to be one of those people like I need my rituals. I'm like, I need to read for 30 minutes. I need to sit down. I need to go over my outline. I need to write, and then blah, blah. And then my brain is just like, no. And I'm just like, okay, brain, you win. I've drafted like my sequel to Wraith. I've been drafting in my notes app. I've been like doodling in my notebook. I have been writing on like napkins. Like I'll be like lying on the couch, like brushing my dog with one hand and like writing with the other hand, because I'm just like, I just cannot force myself to sit down and like write. Is this working for the book? Who is to say? It's getting words down, because I'm just like, when I try to like go into basically the writer I was when I like had to be the person who sits down and is like in writing mode, doesn't exist, because that world does not exist anymore. And in this new world, I need to just eat cereal while thinking through my plot threads, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, so just allowing myself to just write in the grungiest ways possible is what's getting me through it.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it, because it is just like it. All of my like tactics for before and what productivity looked like for me before just like doesn't exist anymore. And I felt like I scheduled my life around, the times where I was going to be able to be home and be writing, or the times where I'd be going somewhere else or doing something else. And now it's like, technically I have a huge amount of time to be able to work with, but like my conception of how much time is passing is really, really, sorry, I was about to swear. What's the non-swear version? It's messed up. It's super messed up. And so it's just like, I find a lot that it'll just be like sometimes really long stretches. And this is kind of how my process worked before, where I'm just like sitting at my computer and I'm like, all I've done for 3 days is just make a ton of pickeroos. Like all I've done is waste time on these like internet doll makers. And then the last 2 days of the week, I'm like, now I'm inspired. And then I'm like, wait, I just wrote like 30 pages, which is, for scripts, which is like, maybe a little bit, like, I don't know if it's less or more impressive, but it's something where it's like kind of like letting myself have that like wasted time, just because like if my brain is not kind of latching onto the tracks, I can't really force it to do that. So sometimes like, I don't know, I just find I need to sort of like absorb, process, and then like, even though it feels like a ton of time is passing where I'm not working, that's actually just like another version of like all time is a mush now in this like strange world we're living in. And like kind of just trying to be gentle with my brain and being like, okay, you just sat down to work and then did not do that, but you are going to get it done. I believe in you. Just like take your time. Like, don't be too hard on yourself. You can hit this deadline. I know you can. I guess I'll just make one more like pit crew and then I'll start. And it's like, yeah, it's worked so far. So, you know, but
Pit crews are so addicting too.
They are. They are.
I think I've made all of them at this point. I think I have done every single one. I'm trying not to go on social media as much, which is the reason that I'm like wasting more time on like other websites, but it's soothing.
Yeah, like I've been playing through Dragon Age Inquisition for like the 15th time, because I just don't have any like brain space to like sit down and like mess in my own world. But I guess like it's okay to do that because I'm still, you know, kind of in my own, you know, brain trying to figure it out. It's kind of like creating a pit crew, but you're just creating a inquisitor. It's fine. It's fine. So speaking of writing and your own books, tell us a little bit about like your current book or like your debut, and like I want to hear about your journeys to like how your book came to be, because like everyone's path is way different. We all know that, like there's not one highway that we all just blast down. And everyone's path is like really different. So I would like to hear about y'all's journey to like how you got here into this panel with us. No one go first.
I mean, I can. I just don't want to hug it.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to like give us an order or something, or if we can find the order on the screen.
Yeah, let's go with the order on the screen. So Julie, you're first.
Oh, okay. All right. I was trying not to be the one that talked first every time, but I also don't mind because I'm
do it, own it, please.
I'm that person. So my most recent book is Faith Taking Flight, and the way that Faith Taking Flight came to be is a lot different than anything I've ever written. So Faith is a property owned by Valiant Comics, and you know, like I wasn't much of a gamer. I wasn't much of a comic reader growing up. There just wasn't a lot that I really latched onto. But about 5 or 6 years ago, I discovered Faith and became an immediate fan because I'd never seen a plus size superhero before. And if you know anything about my own personal books, you know that writing about plus size characters is kind of like my MO. So Valiant Entertainment approached me about writing a like YA origin story for Faith, a lot like the way, you know, a lot of other superheroes have been getting like the YA origin story treatment. And I felt like this was not something I could do in a way because I've never written anything that wasn't contemporary. But then I kind of like had this moment of like, you know, I've worked really hard and fought for a really long time to be able to tell stories about plus size you know, plus size characters and like plus size people, and so why shouldn't I get to write something like this? Like, and I don't know, I think that in my head for so long I thought like I'll get to write my books about plus size characters, and maybe someday someone out there will get to write about a plus size superhero or a plus size like action adventure or something like that. And I kind of was just like, well, what the hell? Why can't I do this? Like, why is this something I feel like I can't do? So playing with Faith has been a lot of fun, and it's been really exciting. And now I'm getting to work on the second book for her too. So,
oh, that's exciting!
Yeah.
Yeah. So my latest book, Infinity Sun, again, it's my first. Oh, is it there? Great. It's my first fantasy novel, and I grew up writing fantasy, reading fantasy, and it's really odd to me that I published 4 realistic novels before my 5th book, which was like the first fantasy. And it's the start of a series, and I'm very hard at work on the sequel now, which is going to be like twice the size of this one. So 2 books for the price of 1. Enjoy. And it's about this boy, Emil, who is like our Infinity Son, and he discovers that he has like Phoenix fire within him, and that he has like past lives, and you know, but beyond that too, I still, for me, with any sort of like work, it's character first. So while the world is there and I'm building all that, I'm most interested in like the characters and like who they are. So Emil is a gay kid, gay Puerto Rican like I am, who also has grown up in the South Bronx. And the way that he handles powers is the way that I like to think that I would have handled powers at his age, which is I would have been very stressed and like did not want to be the chosen one, you know? And it's something that is such a challenge for him. And, you know, it deals with his own body image issues as well. Like he doesn't look like what people tend to expect like superheroes look like and everything. He looks nothing like Thor, you know, and he has to like really like internalize a lot of that as well. And yeah, and it's a brotherhood story. There's a cute shapeshifter involved, and I love just getting to create my own fantasy world ultimately after years and years of living in so many others.
Okay, so I guess I'm next. So I wrote A Song of Wraiths and Ruin, and so there it is. So this one is a YA fantasy set in a world inspired by West African folklore. And so we follow two protagonists, a princess named Karina and a refugee named Malik. So when Malik's younger sister is kidnapped by a vengeful spirit, he strikes a deal with the spirit that in order to win her freedom, he has to kill Princess Karina. So in order to get close to Karina, in order to kill her, he enters a competition for Karina's hand in marriage. However, he does not know that Karina's mother, the queen, has just been assassinated. And Karina has discovered an ancient spell that can bring her mother back to life. But to do so, she'll need the heart of a king. So she set up this entire marriage competition to marry some dude, kill him, and then use his heart to bring her mom back from the dead. So she's trying to kill him, he's trying to kill her. Neither of them are aware of this. And so the book is about the ways they sort of circle around each other and plot around each other. And of course, what happens when they actually meet and they realize they're not as different as they thought they were, and all of their plans sort of go off the rails. And so sort of where this book came from is actually, I remember the exact moment I first had the idea, because mental health is a big theme within the book. Malik suffers from anxiety, which is something I've dealt with my whole life. And I distinctly remember I was walking back from a therapy session back in college in 2016, and I was going over everything we talked about, and I thought to myself, if a ghost tried to possess me right now, it would be like, I don't think I want this. Like, you could just have this back. You have a lot going on in there, and I don't enjoy this. And it sounds very hilarious, but I got the idea for this character who actually dealt with both mental illness and supernatural beings, because I realized, especially in fantasy, if a character was dealing with mental health issues, it was always either as a metaphor, like he shoots lightning when he gets anxiety or whatever, or it was very deeply villainized, like we see a lot in Disney. And I was like, I want something that it's very frank, very real on the page, but they're also dealing with magic. One's not a substitute for the other. And so that was kind of the core for what spiraled from the idea. And then from there, I'm an immigrant from Ghana, so it just was very natural for me to work in lots of oral folklore traditions I grew up with, and kind of make a story that sort of felt like the epics that we see in a lot of African history, and really wind that around the core of the story.
All right, I guess it's my turn. And I jumped the gun a little bit by saying what Star Daughter is about. So I will tell you instead a little bit about how it came to be. Well, a little bit of spite drove me on, because when I first started writing seriously in 2006, 2007, and I had decided at that point that I was going to write characters who looked like me, Indian people, Hindu people, and I kept getting told I should just self-publish because no one would ever buy a book about someone like me. And so I mentally gave those people the middle finger, and I was like, I'll show you. And it took me 13 years, but I did it. And in the meantime, the inspiration for Star Daughter, which is actually my second book, my first one was Trunked Forever, was Neil Gaiman's and Charles Vess's illustrated Stardust. I found that in a bookstore in New York City back in, was it 2002, I think, and fell in love with it. Just read it over and over. I was just absolutely enchanted by this idea of a star that got knocked out of the sky and was a person. And then after the movie came out, I started thinking, wouldn't stars look like all of us, though, all skin tones, if they could look like people? And so I thought, okay, I'm going to write a story. I was thinking a short story. I'm going to write a story about a girl whose mother is from a Hindu constellation. And then I realized she was going to have to go on a quest to find her mother. So it was going to have to be a book. And I just packed it with all the awesome stuff that I could think of, because I wanted us to have books, marginalized people to have books that are fun. Because there's also, as we all know, there's this weird idea that stories about us have to be about our oppression. And no, thank you. I mean, there's absolutely a place for books like that, but that wasn't ever what I wanted to write. So I made this as fun as I could. Like there's the magical night market of my heart. It is just packed with the most amazing things. I just played with that for years, to the point that my agent had to rein it in a little bit and be like, it still needs to be part of the story. Like you can't just have the main character Sheetal just going shopping. Actually has to have a purpose. And there's a birthday ball for her up in the heavenly court of the starry court of Swordlook, which is a Hindu heavenly realm, and just all the beautiful things I could think of. There's a wonderful friendship between her and her best friend. There's a cinnamon roll of a boy, which Rosie, I know is your thing as well, and lots of family stuff, because especially in brown and Black cultures, we have family is such a big deal. I mean, it's a good thing and a bad thing, but it's such a big deal, and you don't really see that reflected in much Western literature. So I wanted to do something about that, and yeah, so basically it's the fairy tale that I wish I had had. And I am so happy to see that like so many people have already reached out ever since that beautiful cover got revealed. They're just like, oh my God, I get to see myself. And I'm just like, my heart, absolutely that, I will keep writing so that, and let's just, we're all opening the doors so that one day there are going to be so many books by people like us, like all of us, that there will be too many for anybody to read, which is exactly how it should be. And I'm so excited.
My book is called The Fire Never Goes Out. It's a memoir. It is actually, I didn't plan it as a memoir. I started making comics when I was in college, and I was 19 years old, and I was having a really, really hard time, I guess, as a lot of people have in college. But I was starting to realize that I had a mental illness that was starting to affect my life. And I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know what it was called. I didn't know how to communicate what I was feeling to the people that I loved. And so everything just kind of imploded in my life. Everything changed. Like I lost friends. I left the church that I was in, or in the church in general. And I started to realize there was more to like me as a person that I needed to learn about, that I needed to figure out. And the only way I could figure out how to do this was by drawing comics about it. And for some reason, that was something that helped me communicate what I was feeling to the people that I loved, who otherwise were maybe feeling confused or even hurt by the way I was acting, because they didn't understand where it was coming from. And so to be able to like put my feelings into not just words, but also words and pictures together, it was a huge step in my life. And it gave me a tool that I didn't have before to be able to talk about my feelings and like with a vocabulary that not only made sense to me, but made sense to others as well. So it helped me also reach people like who were going through the same things, because I post them on the internet and get engagement from other people. I have those feelings too. You're not alone. We're all feeling a similar thing. And was making those comics for close to 10 years. And I never really thought that they were going to be, I think there's a little bit of like a message in a bottle sense to them, where I'm like, I'm going to pour my feelings into this comic, and it's very vulnerable, and it's like almost embarrassing sometimes. And then I'm going to throw that into the sea. And the sea's the internet, and it's going to get carried away, and that'll be it. That'll be the end of my kind of like, it's almost like an exorcism of like, let me throw that feeling out into the world. And then my editor came at HarperCollins came to me and was like, we want to publish these. We want to do an anthology of these comics that you've been making for years. And so it was interesting to actually kind of try and like get them into a structure that told the story. Because I think when you're just living your life, you don't necessarily see it as a story. You just see it as like what you're dealing with at that time. And so to actually look back at myself as a character, it was really interesting. And it was a very kind of like vulnerable process. And there's just a lot of me. There's like a lot of really raw feelings on those pages, and now they're printed and kind of immortalized, which is terrifying, frankly. But it's also really good to have them out there and to be able to kind of share those feelings of coming out, of losing religion, of dealing with mental illness and anxiety and ambition, and how all of those things sort of collide and clash against each other and explode, and how that's affected my entire life and all my other work. So but it's also there's also some funny stuff in it. It's also fun sometimes, so
it's like bitter and sweet. I really enjoyed it.
It's hopeful.
And now it's out there forever.
It is, yeah. God.
All right, so before we get to the audience questions, because there's like so many good ones, we're gonna play a short game first to see who gets to answer the first one because it's really great. Well, the first one first. So we're going to do a put a finger down game / never have I ever. And we're gonna do it very quickly. So flash round, put your fingies up. All right. Put a finger down if you've written fanfic. Put a finger down if you've read a book, watched a movie just for the pairing or the ship. I'll put a finger down if you've met a famous celebrity. Put a finger down if you posted your own writing online. Put a finger down if you plotted out an entire book before writing it. Oh, Rosie! Named a pet after a fictional character. Cosplayed. Bought 3 or more editions of the same book / manga / comic. Rehearsed how you would answer questions if you were on live TV. And the last one is, have you ever been to a Comic-Con? So okay, so I think Shweta wins. So
And
you
Rosie,
get to answer. Yeah.
Do I go? That's fair.
Rosie, I think me and you kind of lose.
Yeah, that's we've
so
really
many.
lost. We've lost.
Okay, so the first question is really amazing. Everyone can answer it after Shweta. I am saying that right. Shweta? Shweta, yeah. Sorry. What is a moment or element of your books that gives you a lot of joy?
The night market. Yes, it's if you want to see what it looks like, just go to my website. I had someone illustrate it as a backdrop, and it is absolutely the night market of my heart. So,
oh man, it makes me want to read your book even more.
thank you.
Anyone else?
When Emil holds a baby phoenix for the first time.
Was a really good part.
So I did a poor job of telling you that Faith can fly. But super witchy and basically a total knockoff of Willow from Buffy. And they're playing light as a feather, stiff as a board, and to no avail. And Faith feels for her best friend and wants to see her have like a moment of success. So she starts to levitate, while none of her friends yet know that she can fly. So her witchy best friend is like, I've done it. I've done it.
I think for me, it's just sort of like the romance aspect in general of it, and just really getting to center like a young Black couple, and just like, especially because like when you have these two characters who are spending so much time plotting murder, and then they're just like, oh, no feelings. I love that. I love writing that stuff because I am a fanfic nerd at heart, and I love a good meet cute. So that's it for me.
Same. Like I have a part where they get caught in the rain in Bookish and the Beast, and I was like, yes, this is my crack. This is my ship. I will go down with this moment. So.
Yeah, I think my favorite part is kind of like seeing the early comics that I did when I was like a teenager, when I was like 19, and like the way that I thought I had it all figured out, where I was like, this is what I like about boys. This is how I just figured out I don't need sleep to survive. It's all gonna be fine. And then you flip a few pages later and it's like, it was not fine. It was not okay. Go to bed.
That's like so relatable though. It's like, I don't need sleep. Sleep is something that I never need. And then it's like, oh no. Just
like
kidding.
I've hacked it. Has anyone ever tried not sleeping ever? I might be the first one. I figured this out.
I knew someone in high school who was like, I figured it out. I'm going to sleep for 2 hours and then be awake for 4 hours and then sleep for 2 more hours. And I'm like, no, that's a terrible idea. Let's not do that. It was bad. But Noelle, speaking of your comics, would you? This is another audience question. Would you think about making a short comic about being non-binary in your journey there?
I think that you're definitely going to see some stuff. I've sort of always kind of shared my journey pretty publicly because that's just, I don't know, I like the attention, I guess. But like, there are also certain things that I do like to maybe work on privately before really, like just so I kind of know what's going on. And but I think that it's honestly one of the most exciting and fulfilling things that I'm like, things that's happened to me during lockdown for sure, where I'm just starting to kind of like explore my own gender and my presentation in a way that I just always never thought I didn't have the time for before, or was like, it's easier to just be what people expect me to be, And so I think there are a lot of comics in the works about that. But yeah, stay tuned.
That sounds fantastic. So we have just under 5 minutes, so we're going to answer 2 more questions. Let's make these like kind of quicker, like quick answer fire questions. Is there a certain storytelling medium that you wish you could dabble in? Like for me, I wish I could do more like horror, but no.
Ooh, horror or virtual reality or a crossover.
Animation. I love cartoons. I've always wanted to try being like in a cartoon writer room. That's a dream of mine.
TV writing.
Yeah, picture books.
I started out wanting to write screenplays, and I'm getting to write my first one right now.
That's awesome.
Exciting. But really, I'm a horror nut, and I would love horror. Also, I just realized I think I played the game wrong. That we've. I'm old and I don't have TikTok. Okay.
I also shouldn't have TikTok, but here we are. Okay, so the next one is all of your books offer valuable representation to readers that they maybe or probably haven't seen before. What was the first, like, when was the first time you felt seen in a book or other form of media? Like, what's your the first time?
My big moments are always going to be Ursula from The Little Mermaid. I was like, oh, I'm 7 and I can be that sexy, and I'm fat too. This is great. I'm going to try to put lipstick on with flowers for the rest of my life. And then also not just Tracy Turnblad, but also her mother in Hairspray. Drag has been really formative for me and coming to terms with my body too. So.
Me, Americana by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. That was the first book that really centered sort of like the African immigrant experience and just told this very expansive, very big story. And that book, I read it, I'm like, whoa, you can write books about like Black immigrants and people will care and they can be really good.
For me, it was Tanuja Desai Hidier's Born Confused, which I found when I was 22. And I saw it, I was working publishing then, and I saw it on a table during a brown bag lunch, and I was like, for swapping, I was like, nobody better take that because that is mine, and I got it.
Oh, that's amazing. I miss BEA and BookCon, where you can just grab things.
I feel like mine was either Zam Wessel from Star Wars, who is a shapeshifter, like an androgynous shapeshifter, or I know this one's like a cliche, but Fun Home. I went to see Fun Home and I just sobbed. I started sobbing at the first notes of the play and I did not stop the whole time. And at one point, the sweet older lesbians in front of us turned around to hand me tissues because I was crying so hard. But yeah, all of the kind of family stuff and coming out stuff in that just really like straight to the heart.
For me, it was Cassandra Clare's City of Bones when I was 19. Just seeing a gay demon hunter and a bisexual warlock was everything, especially when I did not go into that book expecting all of that. I went in, was like, oh, there's like a plot for like a Mortal Cup. Cool, what's this? And then it was like, I'm getting gay vibes. Like, what's this whole business? And it's really nice because obviously, like, queer people didn't see ourselves at Hogwarts, which, given everything, now tracks. And it's nice to just see that these stories were out there and that we can exist in genre spaces as well. That like not every story about a queer person has to be about our coming out. Like we can be in spaceships, we can have magical powers, we can kiss the bisexual warlock, and I love that.
Yeah, for mine, it was Willow and Tara, like from Buffy. Like when I first saw that, I was like, oh, like never mind, like Tara dies, we're going to pretend that never happened. But I was like, oh, that's something that's okay. Okay, that's awesome. But anyway, thank you all so much. We have about 30 seconds left. Please tell us where we can find you on the internet.
ShvetaThakrar.com and Shveta Thakrar Instagram and on Twitter.
At Rosie's Rambles on Twitter and Instagram.
I'm Julie, like everywhere.
I'm at Adam Silvera everywhere.
Ginger Hazing on Twitter and Instagram.
And I am Ash Poston on Twitter and _Ash Poston on Insta. Thank you so much. Please buy merch and bookstore stuff and our books, and bye.
Bye.